What's up, y'all? It's 10 at 3 time in Tennessee. How are you? Hope you're doing well. Hope everything in your life is going well here on this Friday, January the 30th, 2026, under a winter storm warning here in East Tennessee. We are here. We are in one piece. We were really prepared for Weathermageddon last weekend. It ended up being not that big of a deal, at least for us here. A lot of other people in the South, a lot of other people in this state who still don't have power would beg to differ. But speaking strictly locally here for us, it wasn't too bad. But I was supposed to get a bunch of weather today, and we're going to talk about that because that's fun. We're also going to talk about a fun matchup for Tennessee men's basketball coming up on Saturday, and a Lady Vols game that wasn't quite so fun last night. A little bit of hot dog water there over at Food City Center. It was
what does that
not
mean?
Pretty.
Can you explain that?
Emilie, Ray Cochran, and Elijah Nixon here. At least Elijah, I think, knows.
Well, hot dog water?
Yeah, it's just nasty.
Stinks.
Stinky. It's nasty.
Dang.
You know, like if it, you like boil a hot dog like in the water, like
What,
on the
you don't
stove,
drink
and
that?
then it's hot dog. I mean, she does come from a land where people eat scrapple.
I gave it a
so
Have you ever had it?
yes,
you
once
ever had
and
scrapple?
never
I don't even
again.
know what that is.
Yeah, come on. You're an East Coaster. You should know what that means.
You just don't even really want to know what it is.
Sardines?
Scrapple is a breakfast meat that is made of a bunch of other breakfast meats. Like,
Yes.
Sam?
No. It's like I don't know, Wes. How would you describe
Similarly
it?
disgusting, I would say, but yes,
Give you the
it's-
definition.
No, it's no. My one of my best friends, my college
So good.
roommate, was from just outside Philly, and so he always had like a bunch of scrapple in the freezer, and
I
it was
love
gross. We
Scrapple.
got Ainsley and Emma back there in the back too. How y'all ladies doing today? We doing good?
Hey, we're doing great. Doing good. How are
There we go. We got Emma to say hey this time. We didn't last time. She was here very quietly and didn't say anything. So we will see. Well, what's going on there? Can we see some of those outdoor cams? What's going on around the area today? We were supposed to get some snow starting right about now. And if I were a better reporter, I just spoke with Todd Howell about 5 minutes ago, and I just asked him how he was doing. I didn't think to say, hey, I'm going on the air in a second. I should probably ask him what the latest is on that. I was just like, hey, Todd, how you doing? But what do we got out there? We got the Sturkey cam out there. Can't tell if anything's going on yet there on that side of downtown.
There were a little flurries as I was walking in the building today,
Okay.
but nothing crazy.
Because I heard about 2:15 was the start time or something. And then some
That's about right
flurries.
when I walked into the building.
And then I'm sure a lot of y'all are asking right now, are we going to have updates on the basketball game tomorrow? Is anything going on? We don't know. If we have information, we will pass that on immediately, but as of now, we don't have any. So right now, as planned, 8:30 p.m. I know the students can be there because they can just walk right over, some of them who live on campus. But other than that, we will see. And that can have an impact on things.
Should we blame Emilie for the snow?
Why? What did I do?
Emilie walked in at 2:15. She's
It
from the
started
215.
And I eat scrapple. Guess that's enough.
No, the scrapple. I'm going to go with the scrapple. With the scrapple.
Really quick, Wes, there was a little bit, not breaking, but about an hour ago, the Lady Vols game against Ole Miss got rescheduled.
When is that now?
February 17th, Tuesday, 6 p.m. I don't remember if it was at home or not. I'll have to check.
It's on the road.
It should
It's
be on the road still.
That is
Okay.
two very very good basketball players were born that day.
That's sad, though. 'cause
Michael Jordan and my dad.
And you know whose birthday's the day after?
Who? I know.
And you know whose birthday's the day after that? My mom's.
How about that? That's a big week. We're gonna have a really big cake at that
How old
party.
are you turning?
Man, 31.
No.
My knees will hurt more. My back will hurt more.
No.
You got 9 years until it's all south. 9 years and you turn 40 and it just everything. That's the best advice. Speaking of my dad, some of the best advice he gave me was right before I turned 40. He was like, by the way, you know that like it's just everything sucks from here on out.
Actually,
Right?
I felt like that when we was doing weather coverage when I was out there with Ellis. My bones was getting weak. I was like, do I got arthritis right now? Like, am I getting
that's
there?
right.
I heard that 30s are the new 20s.
You know,
And I heard the 30s are best years of your life type vibes.
if you have blooms and a lot of energy drinks,
Mm.
yeah. I
You know
think that
what?
could work.
40s are still the 40s. That's what they are. Just throwing that out there.
No,
A little bit, yeah.
you still have energy, Wes.
I mean, a little. I get by.
How many energy drinks do you drink a day? Coffee or anything?
Usually a bunch of coffee and one energy drink usually a day. I try to be careful. Nothing after like a certain time of the day. And I say that not just because I think my doctor is watching and listening to this, but Also, hardly ever ever. What are you talking about?
How many cup of coffees or energy drinks can you be on a level of Hank's energy? Will it take you to be?
It's not possible.
You wouldn't run on the treadmill?
It's not possible. There's no chance. There's no chance.
You wouldn't jump on the treadmill?
That is crazy psycho energy. Toddlers, and every day I go pick him up at school, I think, how do people, like there are people who every day work monitoring like 15 or 20 of those things in one room all day long.
You just called his son a thing.
When there's that many of them, they're things. And I don't know. It's like,
Hank, we love you.
Like, I'm not saying I want to pay more for daycare because gosh knows it's expensive enough as it is. But it's like, then you see what they're dealing with, and you're like, okay, I get it. Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot. I just can't imagine like 8 hours, 9 hours a day just with that much
more.
Manic energy. It's crazy. It's crazy. Pay them more. Pay them more if you're out there. People out there listening, people who control things, people who decide these things. It's not us, obviously, but the people who do, you go handle that. The Lady Vols could have handled that game last night quite a bit better.
That was a good transition.
Than they did. Thank you. I appreciate that.
That one to you.
I was born at night, not last night. But I think there's two things that I think about that really. One is that the way they have been playing, you could look at that. And I'm not saying it's the same thing because the Florida men won the national championship last season. Not the same thing at all. But if you looked like the past several weeks for Florida, they had one really bad game where Auburn came there and beat them. And other than that, they've been on a sharp incline, right? Like they're starting to look like Florida did last year. And so when the Lady Vols had that, just watching that game and monitoring it, I was thinking, if it's just a dud, that happens. Like they've been playing really well. Everything's been fine. Everything's been on the incline. And maybe it's just a bad day. But then came the comments after the game, and maybe things turned a little bit then. I don't want to be alarmist, but the way that Kim Caldwell said the ladies were handling themselves kind of up to that game, the day of the game, didn't sound great.
Yeah, it was interesting because the day before at the media availability, she was giving them so much props for stringing great practices together, how tough Kim Caldwell run practices can be. And in the beginning of the season, she was very transparent about how her players weren't getting through those practices. And up until this game against Mississippi State, and pretty much, I'm pretty sure all throughout SEC play, they were able to handle her practices and her way of coaching a lot better. And that was the result of the wins in league play, was what she was alluding to. And then the day after, they go out there and they look like that against Mississippi State. So obviously, in the post-game press conference, people were asking, what the heck happened? You just told us.
It's the nicest way you could ask.
They were stringing together great practices, and then here you are saying, they were late to warm-ups. They were
not great,
just not really locked in before the game. And she was completely transparent about this, which I love that about her. She will not hide that stuff under the rug. She is so open about what she feels with her players in those relationships. And I do think she said she had a feeling before going into this game that it wasn't going to be a great outcome, and she guessed right. And I don't know. She said they got complacent because they did play Mississippi State just 2 weeks prior on the road and won in a big way against, the Dogs. And I think, maybe they got a little comfortable and, hey, we're 6-0 in the SEC. We're the only remaining unbeaten team in league play. And, this is probably just going to be another win for us. And you got Mississippi State, who is a team that is not even ranked but has not had a bad loss this season. I mean, this is a statement win for Mississippi State to beat the Lady Vols
big
at home.
Big win.
And up until this game, I don't think they've never had a bad loss. I don't remember if it was LSU, but they were very competitive with them. I don't only think they've lost by a few points to the conference opponents they have lost to. So, yeah, I think just one team wanted it more, and Kim Caldwell was extremely transparent about the way her team was acting before this game in warm-ups, and just the prep leading up to it didn't make sense.
But can you agree with, I can see that for the simple, I wasn't there yesterday, but I can see why that can't be the case. Think about it. Sunday, you got the number 1 team going to the road to play against UConn. The week after, you got South Carolina, who's been pretty dominant throughout the Dawn Staley era.
Looking past it.
So you're kind of looking past it, and then I think this is a wake-up call before you even hit those 2 teams. And I think they got one more. They played Georgia before, in between the UConn and South Carolina game. So I think like this wake-up call could either be a good thing or a bad thing, because after losing to Mississippi State, how do you perform against UConn is going to probably be like a morale thing, because Mississippi State, like you just said, they're a really great team. They haven't had a bad loss. I know we know that Tennessee went down there and beat them earlier in the year, but I think that they were so focused on probably what was going to be next, that they just kind of dropped the ball, and that's really a bad thing, especially when you're playing in a tough conference like the SEC.
I also think that, not playing that game against Ole Miss and having that game rescheduled kind of ruined their momentum a little bit too. I mean, they had an unexpected week off that they weren't anticipating. Kim Caldwell even admitted that they wanted to play on the road in that game. It would have been another ranked competition. It would have been, a little bit more momentum. And I think that week-long break might have given them more of a chance to be complacent and kind of just not as locked in as they would have been if they didn't have that unexpected week-long break.
I have a question as to my thought process when I hear about people being, late to something. I would want to know how many and how late.
Well, that's what I was.
Because that's because I've seen, there's on one level, right? One of the most disrespectful things you can do to somebody that's a simple thing is not respect their time. So if you say you're going to be somewhere, listen, 15 seconds, whatever. This isn't the military. Like, it's not. You don't need to be 15 minutes early to be on time. But don't be egregiously late. It's not just your time. It's someone else's time. It's their day. We're all busy. Like it's a disrespectful thing. But also, these are young people, and I'm not saying it excuses anything. But for instance, Josh Richardson is one of the most mature athletes I think I've covered during their time at Tennessee. And he came from a family that his dad was an Oklahoma City firefighter. His mom was an Air Force chaplain, very structured, very on time, very responsible, very everything. And one day he took a nap after shoot around and forgot to set his alarm clock and was late. And so Conzo Martin, didn't start him that game, brought him off the bench because he was late. And he talked about it publicly. You can't be late. I don't care who you are. You can't be late. So it does happen. Yeah. But I would want to know, are we talking, a couple of them were 30 seconds late? Or are we talking half the team being 15 minutes late? Because those are all very different things.
Considering how, this is just from an outside perspective, but it feels like Kim Caldwell is a very routine person.
Seems that way. Especially I bet being a mom has made that even more so.
For sure. So I feel like, her coaching staff wears the same things on the bench. They all wear orange shoes. I feel like from the outside looking in, I feel like she likes things done a certain way. And if things maybe aren't timed out the way she wants them, it could, just mess up the system, which is completely understandable. If things are working, then you stick to them, right? If you're at warm-ups on time before every single one of these league games and you're winning, let's just kind of keep that up. And if you have a little bit of behavior that's off before a game, I think I could get where she's coming from when she felt like this game was not going to be a good one.
You think that's why she likes to make the opponent uncomfortable all the time, or because the way they play is to cause chaos, right?
Yeah.
And I
menaces.
can see if she's someone who doesn't like chaos, she's like, I'm going to take the thing I like least and I'm going to put it on you.
Yeah. She just likes things done a certain way. She's a very I've never seen someone coach the way she does. It's very different. Their style of play is very different. We all know that, the 5 in, 5 out, whatever. But yeah, I don't know. I think I could see them maybe being 5 minutes late, maybe. I don't know. I'm guessing here. But that's enough to, shake things up clearly because of the way they lost. You can just kind of feel that energy from them. But, she didn't blame her players. She always takes the blame. She said, I'm the coach. It's my responsibility to make sure they're on track. It's my responsibility to make sure they're on time. So she did end up taking the blame for those, misbehaviors before the game. And I respect her for that. And I respect her transparency. She's one of the most transparent coaches we've ever had to cover.
People can take that any different number of ways. I'm not going to speak for everyone who does our jobs, obviously, but I would say it's probably a safe guess to say that we like that better.
Oh,
It makes
yeah.
our jobs
Well-
much simpler to do. Not that we should expect everything to be on a plate, but like you appreciate when there's candor. You appreciate when someone's actually telling you what you think is something honest about it, as opposed to micromanaging and protecting everything and treating everything like you're building atomic weapons.
yeah.
And like it's not, because it's not that deep, right? It's just not. And so, but there are certain groups of fans out there who are the exact opposite in their mindset, and they don't want anything like that out there ever. They don't want any bad laundry out there ever.
Well, then there's the other. Well, this is what I was actually just going to bring up too. I mean, you look at the clips from the post game press conference last night. They're on social media, obviously. Yeah. I haven't seen a bad comment yet. Honestly, I mean, I've seen a few, but most of them are just like, I love her transparency. This is something, Pat would say. This is the way Pat would act. I've seen a lot of that on social media. So I think, it's interesting because we know Vol fans, when they lose a game, it's all heck breaks loose.
Yeah, I mean, I personally feel like...
I don't know, I was going to say.
I personally feel like because when that happens, I think it's a fine line between, like, bashing and there's a fine line to, like, being honest. And Kim Caldwell always seemed like... It's not like she says it out of anger. Mm-hmm. It was one time where she was frustrated, it seemed like, because the team didn't perform well to their level. I think that was against, like, Louisville, when they didn't perform to the level, the standards that she had for them. And I personally think that, I think that's fair, because you expect this from your team that you see every day, and you expect them to win or expect to play their best brand of basketball. And I think that Louisville game was like the worst I ever seen the Lady Vols touch a court does so far this season. So again, I just think that when she talks, she doesn't talk out of like, saying to bash any of her players. She just wants to do it she does it out of frustration, saying that she knows what her team is capable of doing, and this is what they should be doing.
Yeah, I think, and also, it's easy to say this, it's kind of low-hanging fruit, but like a couple things. One, fans want you to win, so if you win, anything you do is great, and if you're losing, everything that you do is bad. Like that's just a general thing, right? That's that. But also, I've always kind of thought that when you play a certain style of basketball, anything you do, there's good and bad to it. There's no like perfect way to play this game. There's no perfect way to do this or that or any sport really. It's just the way that you do things, and you try to tailor it to what you have and your principles. And so, but I think sometimes when you have a style like that, when things go wrong, they really go wrong. And so you'll occasionally just wear one that's just not pretty at all. But and then people say, "Oh, that's why you're not, you're not disciplined. You're not doing this." It's like, no, this is the system. And when things go wrong in this system, they look like that. But it's still, where are you at the end of the year? Where are you? Where are your numbers? How are you winning? Where are you competing? Where are you getting to? So, I mean, listen. For now, we can call it what it was, which was, we know, a really bad game. Whether it was more than that, we'll wait and see. I think
they got to play the number 1 ranked team in the country up next.
We're going to learn awfully soon about that, but we're going to learn a lot more about the Tennessee men this weekend too, because they got a big one coming up at home, unless, of course, things change. Still scheduled for Saturday night if we're having to sort of snow plow our way over there, break out one of those old 10 News snowmobiles. We'll go over there and
Do we have those?
Probably not, but I mean, we can. I mean, I've asked. We don't have helicopters. We don't have snow plows. I mean, there's more vehicles that we need in our fleet. I think we've all established that. But we will be there if we are allowed to be there, if that game's there, and we'll talk about that game here in just a second. Before we do that, though, going to step away for just about a minute or two, have a little secret time, and then we'll be right back here on 10 at 3. Secret time? Secret time, secret time.
Secret time.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
See, I ask this all the time, and she knows.
I know, because he complains about it
She
all
knows.
the time.
What is it?
You just
You get dry mouth in the winter, and so I'm always like, hey, if you see anything, just say something. So that's why I appreciate it. See, that's what, it's not that, it's secret time, but everybody can still see and hear this, but it's a little less formal,
Oh, that's cool.
Secret time.
Warm the bus.
I just remember being last night watching that game and watching part of it, monitoring the other part, trying to get the kid to bed and everything, and thinking like, this is just a bad.
They just didn't look like themselves
like
at
just
all.
bad.
Are you?
Also, Mia didn't play a lot. She didn't start either.
Yeah.
So nobody asked Kim about it after the game, but Mia didn't start. Nia Robinson started, and
Which,
I don't know.
I don't know how much that matters because of how quickly they sub and everything. But like
Mia didn't have a lot of minutes
But that
though,
part's
and
weird.
she like offensively didn't put up the numbers she usually
Well,
does.
you know what though
too.
about that too, because isn't her lineup on who plays the best the last game?
So, but that's another thing too.
she had been playing great.
She had been playing great, and
played well against Kentucky.
and we asked about the focus of the players post game, and Kim was like, honestly, I didn't feel a lot of energy from the team besides Mia and Maya. So, you think about behavior before the game and based on who she starts, but if Mia had great energy before the game, I don't know.
It had to be a matchup thing. There had to be something.
Yeah, I mean, something.
Matchup. Mia been the best player.
Well, I mean, there could
Did
be.
Shania play last night?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. It just seems like that's more of a tactical thing than or maybe she was one of the ones who was late.
Maybe, but
She
and
could
I
have
don't
been-
think she would have made the comment about her having so much energy and being locked in.
Well, I mean, she may have been late, but locked in. Welcome back to 10 at 3 here on I almost said Thursday. It's a Friday, January the 30th, 2026. Wes Rucker sitting in here with Emilie Ray Cochran, with Elijah Nixon, as my left to my right here as I'm looking here. And we got a lot to talk about. It's a lot going on today. Just a busy day. And this Tennessee-Auburn game tomorrow night at Food City Center, assuming it's still played at night, assuming everything, until we know that anything could possibly change or has changed, we're just pretending like this game is being played when they say it's going to be played, right? They're going to have to figure out what they want to do about that. But there's a couple of really interesting things about this. One, this was supposed to be a big game, and it is a big game. But both of these teams have taken kind of interesting routes to get here, right? We know about all the transition at Auburn with former Tennessee player Stephen Pearl taking over for his dad, former Tennessee coach Bruce Pearl, and keeping the roster, very similar, obviously, because of I think the timing when Bruce left when he did was pretty clever to make sure that there wasn't time for a big national search to maybe change that job over. So making sure that Stephen gets the job and all that. But he's a clever man, that Bruce Pearl. And, and early in the year, there were times to think, was he ready for this? Because Auburn, brutal schedule. I mean, one of the toughest non-conference schedules in the country. And some losses, a couple of them that didn't look good at all. The Michigan one in particular was just wretched. Of course, that team's very, very good. I still think a huge national title contender. And Tennessee, meanwhile, starts really well, then has a couple games here and there where kind of get in their way, aren't making free throws, turning the ball over. Really, that team could have one or two losses. Instead, it's got 6 right now. But both those teams still, I guess, metrically or so in the top 25 of the country. Both those teams right outside the poll, and both of them on a sharp incline coming into this matchup. So it's kind of like a lot of the SEC this season. It's kind of taken some interesting left and right turns to get there. But this is a big game, and these teams are at least coming into this game playing well. That doesn't mean much in the SEC because one game doesn't carry over to the next at all right now. But generally speaking, for the past couple weeks, these teams are starting to look better, I think.
Yeah, I think to start off with Tennessee, I mean, for them to finish off coming back in the second half and both wins and extra little time against Georgia, I think this team is picking up confidence. I mean, especially with this young team, Nate looking like he's playing a complete basketball. It's not taking him a while to wake up and put the ball in the hoop. I think we know what Jacoby Gillespie brings to the table, but what Rick Barnes was talking about is Bishop Boswell has been like his guy. There was like, as an X factor.
Mm-hmm. The extension of himself on the floor.
As a guard, I think he's averaging like 5 rebounds. And, he had a double-double, I guess, in I think the last contest that they were talking about. So, again, Bishop Boswell has been the guy that he was like, hey, if we want the dirty work to get done, this is our guy. And I like that he praised him because, we don't really talk about him. I know we go around to Dwayne Brown and we go around to Mari Evans. We go around to guys like that who are playing really, really well. But we don't talk about Bishop enough. And I think that he just does little things that could make your team better. And I really enjoy that about Bishop.
Yeah, he's kind of learned that from, I feel like, Jemai and Zakai. Like,
And before that, Josh Richardson,
Yeah.
and like just those kinds of guys.
yeah, like he has bought into Rick Barnes's Tennessee style. You know, I feel like Bishop does the little things that people don't necessarily notice, and I just immediately go back and think about the way Jemai Mashak played defense last year, and Bishop, I feel like, tries to emulate that a lot. And he's one of the ones who saw it firsthand, because this team, as we've said so many times before, is so brand new that I think Bishop has really like taken on that veteran style of defense and tried to bring that over this season.
And he's someone who last season, if not for Jemai, would have probably played a little bit more. But when Boswell got there, I'll never forget, somebody on the Tennessee staff told me something. Obviously, it was on background at the time. It didn't put his name on it, but said when that kid arrived at Tennessee, he was already defending the way Tennessee expects upperclassmen to defend. And if you know anything about a Rick Barnes program, that is perhaps one of the highest compliments that you can get, because it's not just a mentality with them defensively and not just the way of life. It's not just about a mental and physical toughness. It's about understanding things. It's about understanding how to rotate. It's about understanding when to press in, when to come back. It's about understanding when you can go for the strip, when you can't. It's about being very fundamental, but being dynamic within that fundamental thing. Because they'll go, people think a lot of times it's just, hey, they're man-to-man, right? But the way that they switch on ball screens or don't, the way they chase, the way they help, and the way Tennessee rotates defensively. Like, if you love basketball, if you really love basketball, when Tennessee's defense is playing the way that it is when it's at its best, it is absolutely gorgeous. The rotations they have defensively, it's like they're on a string and they're all being pulled in the same direction. And it's like almost like a kaleidoscope of guys in a way. And it's something that other coaches talk about a lot when they talk about Tennessee. It's that how tough it is to kind of get them out of balance, how to get them, because it's hard to beat their guards off the bounce usually. Early this year at times, a little bit easier than it had been, and they're getting better at that. But the way that's what starts it. But even when that does happen, they got rim protectors behind them, and everybody rotates. Right. You're exposed to the corner three because that's just how it is. If people can hit the corner three, it's hard to get the ball there, but if you can score. But that's where Boswell just came in understanding not just how physically and mentally tough you have to be, but kind of what they want to do. The thing was, they didn't have a place for him in the rotation last year much because they were competing for a title. He's a freshman. They got guys who can do more, as two-way players. But like everybody else there, I think Gillespie said this after the Georgia game, you don't get to Tennessee unless you probably scored 20-plus per game in high school. Like, he can score the ball. We're seeing that now. But that's never going to be the thing that Rick Barnes cares about the most. And it's going to be the same thing with Amari Evans, who's the next one in that line. You can see like a through line of all these guys, like Barnes guy, and that kind of versatile backcourt defender, they got to have him to play the way they want to play.
I think that I'm going to say what I like about Amari. I think Amari has the ability to not really run the offense, but if he can be the guy that could set up players, I think he will start to grab that
connection
ability.
guy.
Yeah, because he's not my number one ball handler. He's not my number one decision maker for sure. But he's somebody that I think that if he need to be, like if Gillespie has to come off of a screen, I think that you can put the ball on Amari hands and he can make the right play.
He's a disruptor.
With that. I'm talking about offensively.
No, I'm talking about offensively too. Like, if things are kind of getting stale, he will go disrupt things. He will go. If you watch him, he's kind of like, instigator's not the right word, but kind of an irritant, a disruptor, a guy who goes in there and does something and kind of breaks the ball up, or kind of breaks it loose on defense, and on offense he kind of goes somewhere to kind of. You can just see it when you're watching. You're like, he's doing something to open something up here,
and that's what I like about him. I think Amari has like he has a ceiling that is you really can't tell what it is because he could do everything. He could defend, he could screen, he could hit a rebound, he could go get an N1. If I'm not saying he's the best shooter, he can shoot the three. Like, he can do a lot of different things. So his ceiling to me is like the highest ceiling out of the whole entire freshman class because you already know
other than Nate.
But you know what Nate can do. Nate can score.
Nate can be like intergalactic.
He can. Nate is a lottery pick for sure, right?
Yeah.
But I'm saying, like, with Amari's, like, he has a jack of all trades that you don't even know. Like, one night he could be effective with scoring 0 points, getting 10 rebounds, and like 7 assists. Where Nate, he has to be
a Rondo game.
Yeah, Nate has to be effective by scoring the basketball. So that's why I was like, his ceiling, we know what it is. Where Amari, he could affect the game without. He could affect the ball a game without even touching the basketball on the opposite side of the ball. He could get steals and rebounds and whatever. So it's like I don't know. I think his ceiling is very high, and I don't know if it's going to show towards the end of this year or probably the beginning of next year. But I think he has something that we should be trying to start.
I'm curious how many minutes he's averaging.
I think it's definitely gone up recently. Now, obviously, with Troy Henderson not able to play, and they're hopefully to get him back.
They say he's
hoping to get Troy back tomorrow. And even if he plays just one rotation and a half, those minutes are important. You play a team like Auburn that likes to get up and down, physical.
Yeah, he's averaging at least 15 minutes.
Because Troy Henderson's one of those guys who, until or unless Ethan Berg starts contributing more.
Yeah, I don't know.
We'll see. But
at one point we thought he was, backup point guard.
He was the steady Eddie, play a couple, rotations during a game. But without Henderson the past couple games, that's made it even harder. They're having to rest. You can tell exactly what they're doing with Gillespie.
The
whistle before immediate timeout. Like if there's 12:40 left, or if there's 8:30 left, he will go out then, so he can rest for like a couple a minute or two. Then you get the immediate timeout. Then you get him back in the game. So they're buying minutes every way they can. But with Troy Henderson out, that was even harder to do because sometimes you see them do that. And they're trying to give him a minute or two, and then somebody does something.
Turns the ball over. I think that's what happened two games ago. Jacoby played 38 minutes.
Kentucky.
Yes. Ethan played a minute, turned the ball over, and they're like, "All right, Jacoby, come back in."
Sorry, you got to go back in, bud. I wanted to rest you, but I can't. And so that's hard to do when you can't rely on other guys to do that. And that's why Boswell, can't get in foul trouble. That's why there's things that's just basketball IQ stuff that I think that's one of the next steps that they need to take. But with Evans, that's a little different because he gets there's no such thing as a free foul, right? Because he gets you closer to the bonus, or if you're in the bonus, it puts the team at the free throw line. No such thing as just a license to – he's not Bond out there with like a license to foul, right? Like it's not – you just go do whatever you want. But when you're a freshman and you're supposed to be an energy guy – and you're probably not going to play more than like 8 or 9 minutes, you can go cause chaos there. Because if you hold a jersey, if you push somebody, you're like, not the end of the world, right? Like he doesn't need to go out there and have another 5-minute 5-foul special, the old Uros Plavsic special. But it's different. He can do things that like Boswell and Gillespie just can't do because those guys need to play 35 minutes a game.
Yeah.
And that's fun for me.
We talk about JP a little bit. Did you talk about?
Oh no, we're definitely he's going to be in the third segment because we got a shot of him that we're going to play of an interview from him after the Georgia game because he was. And I said this the other day. There was that picture of him walking off the court and he was holding the basketball and I was like, that's where the game ball should be. Yeah. And also him making the WBIR sign, which I don't know if y'all knew that. That's what instead of they keep saying it's W for win, it's W for WBIR. We've established this, right? And there's proof on the internet
because no other station in the market begins with a W.
There's no other station out there anywhere, not just in this market but anywhere. No stations in this country also start with W. It's just us.
Just us.
So just us. It's us and the Cubs win flag. That's the only ones. But I think. The reason that I wanted to do a little bit more on Evans and some other guys first is because I think Estrella, we're going to give him his own segment because that's how we've talked about that and we'll talk about it in the next segment, just how big of a part that is in the process. But this is a really interesting game. I'm interested to see sort of what the reaction will be to Stephen Pearl as a head coach, for Auburn. It was one thing with Bruce and everything. Now I'm interested to see what the reactions are going to be with Stephen, because there's been enough time elapsed, that you almost think of them more as Auburn guys than Tennessee guys now, just like you're kind of starting to think of Barnes as even though he spent all that time at Texas, he's going to retire as a Tennessee coach at some point. So most likely. So that's just kind of where things are now, and we live in the present moment, right? But that's a guy who played 4 years at Tennessee, was on some good basketball teams, and to this day, I'll say he should have not started over Jerron Mayman, but whatever, he did. But he was a guy who earned some minutes out there and did some good things for Tennessee, and a walk-on who played some ball and did well at times. So I'm interested to see what that reaction is, because that's kind of sports, though, right? I mean, friend today, enemy tomorrow. I mean, that's just how things are.
Yeah, for sure. That's for sure. I'm super competitive. So like think about it, the golf subject. Like even with my twin brother, like when we was in practice, he was the only person I call out. I wanted one-on-ones with him every day. I didn't want nothing else. I wanted him because he knew my tendencies. So, yeah, friends today, enemies tomorrow, or whatever you said it. That's how it's always gonna be with sports, and that's why I think I love sports, because I think it brings out the best of you in the as a human. Not saying anything else, though.
It reveals character for sure, one way or the other.
The best of you.
If you have one more person to talk about before JP, kind of going off of that, we can talk about him in 2 segments if we want. But he played his best friend against Alabama, and that was when we kind of saw him spike up a little bit in terms of productivity and efficiency, because before that he was not playing well at all. So,
Does he know anybody who plays for Auburn? I guess we should ask.
Maybe we should ask. Yeah, it was literally his best friend.
They got any other Northeast boys up there?
Yeah. I don't know, but he talked about it. He was like, I really want to play this game. I really want to win this game because my best friend from high school's on it, and it's just be the cherry on top of a win.
And then Jacoby Gillespie has a connection to one of the Auburn players too. So
No, we got it wrong. He was thinking about Blue Cane.
Blue Cane, yeah. But the guy said Liu. It sounded like he said Liu Kang.
You like Liu Kang, like the Mortal Kombat figure?
Yeah, that's what I thought. I even Googled this.
I looked it up, and I was like, you're thinking about Blue Cane. That game already happened.
The pride of Knoxville Catholic High School, by the way, which is, I've said this all the time, it's been empirically proven by data to be the greatest high school that's ever existed. So there was a study. It was double blind. It was official. I just don't remember who did it.
Where'd you go to high school?
Knoxville Catholic High School.
Your father went there too?
No, my dad went to another high school in the area. A couple of them, actually. I think he got kicked out of one and graduated from the other. He's a feisty guy.
What was your experience like there? I went to Catholic school as well in elementary school. What was your Catholic school experience?
I had a great time, really.
Yeah.
I had a great class of people, so that always helps.
Same. Well, Catholic schools, they're smaller. So I had 40 people in my grade, split between 2 classes.
I think my graduating class was 110 or something.
Really?
Like that.
Oh my God, 40 people.
Something like that.
So all my best friends are still my girls from Catholic school days. I didn't love every moment of it, but
I didn't love wearing a tie every day.
I didn't like going to mass every Friday.
Wearing a tie every day gets really, really old really quick. But it's why now it's like when and having to shave every single day was also you could see ever since I graduated from college or high school, there's a reason why you almost never see me in a tie and you never see my face, because it's I don't have to shave anymore. I don't have to wear a tie anymore. I ain't doing it.
I'm actually on Catholic school TikTok right now with shared experiences among Catholic school goers. So the one thing that popped up the other day was, did you have any other friends who would pass out at mass ever? They would just pass out randomly, and someone would have to take them out of the building.
No.
Yes,
no.
Really? It's going viral on TikTok.
The spirit taking them, I guess.
I don't know.
Is that what's happening?
I would always have almost every Friday. I would.
I remember in elementary school. I remember in elementary school there would always be.
What's going on?
Well, elementary school, I remember there were times where kids would get sick during mass, and then it's awkward because the janitor has to come in with the wood chips or whatever on the floor.
While we're all receiving the Eucharist, and maybe
or hey, and then you're always laughing at at things. But hey, there's
Shared
I
experiences.
I got Catholic school stories for days, including the time where the Ken Schwall, who used to work here, actually caught some of us doing senior skip day
Wow.
and got us in school suspension. So
Did you have nuns back then?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, we didn't.
full 9 yards, getting hit with a ruler,
Yeah.
all that stuff.
I got in trouble for senior skip day.
Because Ken Schwall, the beloved, dearly departed,
didn't
we
have
love
that. We were
him.
like
we love him.
angels.
Ken Schwall, former WBR superstar reporter, who
Yeah.
caught us at senior out at Lakeshore Park one day.
Dang, that's
They
that's
knew
really
he was.
funny.
They knew he wasn't going
Yeah,
to come.
they
to
played it
school.
at Channel 1 the next day at school, and we're like, "This is what happens when you skip. These people are." Yeah,
Dang.
so it was not. It was. I was like, "Come on, man, it's fun." We were just on camera saying it's hip to skip. We thought it was funny. It wasn't funny. Also, man, I got high school stories for days and grade
Yeah.
school stories for days, and there will be times during this podcast where I will share the ones that I can share. But for now, we got to step away for a break. We're going to come back and talk a little bit about JP Estrella. We're going to talk a little bit about how much of an X factor he is for this Tennessee team, and I think we will hear from JP Estrella himself. But before we do that, we're going to step away for just a second, and then we'll be right back here on 10 and 3.
Like, look. Hold on. I'll find it.
I didn't even know.
Like,
I wonder if we still
Why?
have the clip from Ken Schwall.
It would have to, I bet it would not be.
Where is it?
It would have to.
Oh,
There might be like a
so sad.
physical tape of it in the archives. It
I
may have
couldn't
been. I don't
see
know
it.
exactly when things went
My
from
friends always send them.
when things went from like,
Students during Catholic
tapes
school.
to like everything, the cards that we have now. Like I don't know exactly when that was,
No.
but we got that one. We got all kinds of stuff in there that. What are we doing over here? Is this you?
Did you guys have walkathon?
No.
Did you have dress down days?
Dress down days?
Yeah.
I don't think so. No.
Like, did you have Catholic school week where you could wear fuzzy socks or dress
Well, I mean, there
down
was
and
just
not in
school
your
spirit.
uniform?
There was just school spirit
Oh,
week.
we
where
had
you
Catholic
themed
school
it.
week, and it was like
And
a theme every
on,
single day.
on the days that
What?
on the days that your team is playing, you get to wear that jersey. You get to wear your jersey
That's
instead
cool.
instead of
Your
instead of
uniform.
the uniform top that day. But no, other than that, it was pretty much no. And even then, like you wore denim in the building, you were getting in trouble.
I had none of this. had
Denim.
none
I
of this
couldn't paint my
experience.
nails. I couldn't dye my hair.
There were-
Girls couldn't wear makeup.
They used to we a lot of us had sideburns down to the bottom of
Still
the ear
did it anyway.
just because, and like mustaches for fun because I guess the facial hair policy was really old, like in the 70s, I guess, and it was like you can have sideburns down to the ear and you can have you can have a mustache but no facial hair. So we're like, okay, let's do this. And so a bunch of us would have sideburns down to like the ear, and they used to go over there and take the ruler and see if like it was measure it and give you like a single blade razor or whatever to go fix it if it wasn't. And all that fun stuff.
Only thing that we couldn't do was bring our phones to school.
Yeah, we couldn't do that either. I'm telling you though, like, sorry.
Welcome back to 10 at 3. I didn't know any other way to tell Emily we were coming back to break, so I snapped my
having
fingers.
so much
I didn't,
fun.
and that's gonna look so bad probably. But I didn't know any other way to do it because like I can't. I was trying to wave and I was like, hey, and then I was like, hey,
Clip it.
hey, we're back.
Expose him. clip it.
Let it
This
be
is what we
known.
gotta go
Let
to.
it
Do
be
you not
known-
want us to have fun,
Let it be known
Wes?
that I tried to make eye contact beforehand and it wasn't successful. And it was either that or throw something at you, and that would probably look worse.
No, I think the snapping.
Next time I'll just shout your
Snapping
tag
was
cues. Don't worry.
crazy.
Do you think it was like it was?
First,
I think throwing a
cheerleading
pin.
isn't a sport. Now
That was
the
just
snap.
that was intentional
I'm just
gaslighting on
gonna-
that one.
I'm gonna not come into this podcast anymore.
I mean, I didn't even talk about the jinxes you've been dropping lately either. So I mean,
here we
I'm not doing it yet. I'm just saying I could do it. I'm saying I could
jinxes?
do it. We'll talk about that later. She's jinxing stuff over here. She's speaking things into existence that
Cheers, man.
breaking media
It's my
decorum in some
Catholic
of these
school
ways.
powers.
We got a lot more to talk about in this final segment with Tennessee's JP Estrella and the performance that the big fella has been putting in lately. We said this right a couple weeks ago, right? There were a couple of X factors. There were reasons why this Tennessee basketball team still might end up being a lot better than people think it is. And that was because both collectively and individually, so both the forest and the trees, there were things that could be significantly better that were not being that good at the moment. Things that have a much higher ceiling, players, groups, positions. And you knew that Nate Ament becoming a superstar was going to be part of it, right? Like they just need him to be what they need him to be, right? Number two, I said, was JP Estrella, because offensively and on the glass, what he can do is a huge X factor, and we saw that in a big way finally against Georgia, and looking more like the kind of guy that you think he can be. We spoke to him after the game. The people down there in Athens did. We're going to play that for you, and then we're going to come back and talk about it. But here is Tennessee sophomore forward JP Estrella.
Rick talked about your energy in the huddle before overtime and alluded to you being pretty hyped up. What do you recall about your emotions before overtime began?
Yeah, I mean, at that point of the game, we were like, yo, let's get them. Come on, let's energy, keep going. So I was really just trying to emphasize that, just really trying to build the energy and get the guys going, and it worked great.
Just go through your mind when they're shooting a layup with 0.6 left down.
I was loving it. I loved it. They did the layup. I looked right over at Bishop, and I went like this to him. So that's all I'm going to say. I mean, it was a great feeling when he went for the layup, but, I mean, we finished it out really well. I was really happy with everything.
Rick said maybe 7 days, 10 days ago, you kind of came to him and said, what do I have to do? What was his message to you at that point, and how have you applied that since then?
Yeah, I mean, he pretty much told me, just keep being you, but the biggest thing is you got to be physical, and you got to have a little bit of that Urosh mentality. So I've been trying to really do that on the glass, and I feel like tonight was a night where I proved that I can do that, and I just got to be consistent and keep doing that every single night.
What does an Urosh mentality mean to you?
Just be just extremely physical, hit dudes on box outs, crashing the O glass, hitting people on screens. That was the biggest thing, was trying to hit dudes on screens and getting better angles to have our guards getting downhill, and I feel like it's worked a lot just with the angles and just hitting somebody.
Being a starter mean anything to you?
No, I mean, it's great. It's awesome. I mean, but even if I was on the bench, I'd still be doing what I'm doing. I feel like I love this team, and I'm going to do anything I can to win.
When you're on the court and you're looking over to the bench, especially after a couple of putbacks, and you're kind of feeding off the energy, how do you feed off that energy when they're hyping you up out there on the court?
Yeah, I mean, every time something happened, I looked over at the bench, try to get our bench involved. Because whenever our bench is involved, it gets us going. We bring even more energy when our bench is in there with us. Because after a bucket or a stop, our bench is always up, celebrating, let's go, just something. And that always just brings energy to us and just gets us going still.
You have 7 of your 9 rebounds were on the offensive glass. Do you walk away being like, all right, I had 7 offensive boards, or do you wish you had a couple more on the defensive side?
Yeah, I wish I had a couple more defensive. I wanted that double-double. I missed a couple rebounds. Bishop stole one. And so I made sure I let him know in the locker room after the game. But, I feel, a couple more rebounds would have been nice, but I feel like it was a solid job.
How have you seen Nate change in the past couple of weeks? Rick talked a lot about him seeing the court differently. How have you seen him change and grow?
Yeah, I mean, he's been amazing. He's really started to grow, like Coach Barnes has been saying, like seeing the court, finding his spots, getting to his spots. A big thing was for him just using that one dribble and getting to that mini instead of 2, not getting too low. And now it's cash. I mean, it's so easy for him just getting to that shot, pulling up, and then he's just been playing great for us. Just seeing everything, crashing the glass. He's been guarding too. He's been doing everything that we need him to do.
How kind of crazy and scary is that for other teams, I guess, when a player with his talent starts to see the game like that and it comes together?
Yeah, no, it's scary. I mean, when he's going, he's going. As you've seen, like these past 2 games, he's really starting to figure it out. And, people should be worried about Nate coming in for these SC games because he's starting to ball and starting to get it going.
Going back to Bishop, what did you see on that shot/pass attempt?
Yeah, he shot it kind of, and I thought they got fouled, and I just saw Santo not going, so I just ran and tried to grab the ball, and I did, and just tried to go up with it quick because I knew the shot clock was going down. But I mean, I just saw it and went to go get it.
How exciting is all this for you, given some of the injuries that you've battled up to this point in your career?
Yeah, it's super exciting. Finally starting to get into a groove. My foot's been feeling good, knee's been feeling good. Knock on wood. So I mean, I'm just extremely happy just be playing basketball with my guys, and I'm loving every second of it.
That was Tennessee sophomore forward JP Estrella, 3rd-year sophomore forward JP Estrella. Talking about that performance against Georgia, a lot of really good stuff in there. As usual, when you get JP Estrella, it's always a good interview. There are, every team's got guys that are, the media's like, yeah, when they come out, and others are like, oh man, come on now, we don't want to try to pull this out of him today. So there's there's levels to these things, obviously, but this was a big part of it, and now he needs to build on this because he's never going to be defensively quite what Cade Phillips is. They're different kinds of players. Estrella's got, he's a little taller, a little more length, and Phillips is just such a twitchy athlete that Estrella's never going to be that twitchy, right? They're just not. They're different kinds of players, but the way he can attack the ball offensively on the glass, the way that he can create his own shot at times, turning over that hook shot he had there was a beauty down there in Athens that he had early in the game. And there's more he can do defensively. I don't know if he'll ever be like an elite defender, but if he's just good enough, then Tennessee can play those three towers at the same time. And that's why Tennessee, I think right now is, if the season ended today, Tennessee would be the best offensive rebounding percentage team in college basketball in like 15 years, basically.
Yeah. 7 offensive rebounds from JP, and I don't know if it said it in the sock because I couldn't hear it, but I think him and Rick Barnes had a conversation before this game, or a few days, like 7 to 10 days before this game or something, and JP was like, what do you need from me? And like you said, Wes, it feels like they just need him to be exactly who they need him to be. Like, they don't need anything other. We don't need him to be an elite defender. We need him to do exactly what fits into the mold of what this team, in the puzzle pieces that this team needs to find success in.
And the numbers, I didn't want to say, I'm glad I wasn't speaking out of turn there, because it would be right now at 44.7% of Tennessee's misses, Tennessee gets back, which is just an insane statistic.
Yeah.
And that would be the most in college basketball in the past 15 years if the season ended today, and the 4th highest this century in college basketball. And they are just percentage points behind, jumping up a couple places on the list. I don't think anybody's ever going to top that 47% that Michigan State had 2000, 2001, but
you talking about second chance points?
no, I'm talking about the percentage of their misses that they go get.
Okay.
I mean, you're talking about 44.7% of the misses that they have.
Yeah.
They go back and get them. At that point, it's like people look at the shooting percentage and they're like, oh, it's bad. I'm like, yeah, but do you see the shot attempts?
Yeah.
Like, this is baked into the cake. This is part of it. They go get those misses. That's when Rick Barnes says something like, what's our best offense at times? People can look at that like it's a bad thing. No, it's what they're designed to do. Now, they're not designed to miss a bunch of shots, but they're designed to, if they do miss shots, go get them. And that's what this team's built to do. And that's what they're doing.
Yeah, you hear that on the bench, too. I think it was the Kentucky game, I think. They were missing the free throws towards the end of the game. And the bench and the assistant coaches are just like, go get the rebound. Go get the before he even takes a shot. Like, they are kind of prepared for them to miss the free throws.
And almost forced overtime against Kentucky by doing that.
I don't blame them. Their free throw shooting this year has been not good at all. So I don't blame them for wanting to, reach back up and grab the offensive board and try to get a bucket.
This is how good they are offensive rebounding. At the end of that game, the end of that Kentucky-Tennessee game, one of the hardest offensive rebounds to get is from a missed free throw, because the guys are starting inside of you, obviously, and they're able to box out. And unless you get a really weird bounce or you're like 7'5", it's hard to go get that ball. Kentucky knew Tennessee was missing that free throw. Kentucky's not super short, right? Tennessee still gets that rebound. And then, of course, the shot was blocked, and, the little melee that Elijah got a great footage of there on tape. And but the point was, they were able to go get that ball when everybody knew they were missing a free throw, and they still went and got the rebound, which is so hard to do. So that's what they're built to do, but that's a part of it. And the next part, we've only got about a minute and a half here before we got to get out of here, is the next step in this process. It's going to be Jacoby Gillespie playing a little bit sharper late in games. And, hey, you can't knock his production. One of the best offensive players in college basketball right now. The numbers are what they are. He is statistically one of the best offensive players in college basketball by any measure. But some turnovers late in games, some couple missed shots here and there that you want to go down. There's no nice way to say it. He's just got to go hit those shots. He's got to take care of the ball. They need him to do that. I think that's
But this is where it goes back to what I was saying. I think that in a late game situation, you do want Jacoby to have the ball in his hands, but I want him to come off of a screen more than to go. So I think that's what I really want Jacoby to do.
Don't over dribble, right? Don't
Yeah,
over
don't
dribble.
over-dribble.
And if that game goes on as scheduled, obviously stay tuned to WBR.com, stay tuned to this stream, stay tuned to the station, stay tuned to everything. We will let you know what's going on with the weather as the snow comes in. We're planning on being there, obviously, tomorrow night for the game. If it's played tomorrow night, we will see you there. We'll talk about it after the game. We'll have a lot of stuff on it. And then in about 71 hours, we'll be right back here talking about it again on this program. Thanks for being here today, guys. Thanks in the back, everything. Thank y'all back there. We will see y'all. Thank you for watching. We'll see you in 71 hours.